know if you have a life, but for those of us who don't, we saw Roger Clemens' testimony on Capitol Hill yesterday. It was engaging, and by engaging I mean totally boring and a waste of time and money. It was basically an exchange of he said, leaving us with at least one liar, a few hours wasted, and lots of your money inconceivably spent. But hey, it's not like we have anything bigger to do. We have the story in just a minute on how much exactly this cost you. But first, welcome to the real story. I told you earlier in the show today that Mitt Romney's endorsement of John McCain, which I don't yet understand, maybe because he believes that McCain is just the best candidate for the job. Well, despite all the theories, I mean, it may not be more complicated than that. I don't know yet. When you actually look at the policies of the other candidates, Romney may actually be right. For example, Barack Obama always seems to be, light on substance, but after reading through the detailed economic plan that he finally released yesterday, just in time for the primaries, the real story is, I think I actually like the vague hope and change Barack a lot better. You remember a few months ago when Hillary Clinton said that she's got so many ideas that Americans just can't afford all of them? Well, apparently Barack was paying attention because he's got even more ideas that we can't afford. Sure, his plan does have universal health care, but it also has a new national infrastructure bank, a major government investment in green energy, tax credits for those who pay no income tax. In total, Obama's plan will cost us over $197 billion every 365 days. Money that I'm sure China would be all too happy to loan to us. But don't worry, because Daddy Barack says we don't have to borrow that money for very long because we'll pay for all of the new spending by A, letting the Bush tax cuts expire, B, auctioning off CO2 emissions. May I translate bullcrap to English? That means instituting a carbon tax on business. And C, well, I'm going to let him explain this last one.
It's time to stop spending billions of dollars a week trying to put Iraq back together again and start spending the money on putting America back together again instead.
Yeah! Fix America. I've been waiting. Obama 08. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Oh, only problem I have with this one is just a small question before, I go back to the celebration of Barack Obama in 08. If he's so intent on spending our money here at home, which I'm all for, in fact, let's not spend any money abroad or home for a while, what do you say? Why is he the lead sponsor of something called the Global Poverty Act? Yeah, global poverty. Global poverty. Spend it all home. This act, which just passed through the Senate Foreign Relations Committee yesterday, would commit the next president of the United States. Oh my gosh, that may be Obama. What a coincidence. It would commit him to working towards the worldwide poverty goals set by the United Nations Millennium Declaration. Look that one up. Google it, please. These goals may cost America an estimated $845 billion, while making us subservient to a whole array of UN treaties and resolutions like the Kyoto Protocol. Wouldn't that be great? Now, you likely haven't heard much about this because not many people, even those who voted for it, understand its true intentions. But while helping the poor is a noble cause, I think Barack Obama would admit that since America isn't classified as an impoverished nation yet, not one dime of that $845 billion that we give to the UN to distribute would go towards, the pledge of fixing America first. Cliff Kincaid is the editor of Accuracy in the Media and one of the few people who's done his homework on this Global Poverty Act. I have to tell you, Cliff, this is a giant step in the wrong direction, and nobody knows about it.
That's right. I found out about it a couple days ago when it was really secretly put on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee agenda. The Republican members of the committee didn't know what was coming. It was sprung on the House last September, brought up for a voice vote. It passed. Most members didn't know what was in it. Well, maybe I need a Pulitzer Prize. Maybe you can nominate me for that, Glenn, because I took a look. I found out about it. I've analyzed it, and yes, indeed, when you understand between the lines and the fine details, this commits the United States to spending another $845 billion on the rest of the world.
If I'm not mistaken, it is a almost 1% UN tax that we would be forced to pay, right?
It's 0.7% of gross national product. This is a figure that was bandied about by the UN for many years. It was actually inserted into a document out of the UN in 2002 and agreed to by the Bush administration.
That's craziness.
And the Bush administration agreed to it. The Barack Obama bill, basically without mentioning the 0.7% or the necessity of a global tax, commits the United States to carrying out this objective, meeting its own, quote, millennium goal.
Right.
And
I mean, it's the same game that they're always playing. Look, they've already set it up in one bill, and now this is the other bill to actually execute it. Basically, right or wrong.
Right.
Okay.
This commits us to spend the money as dictated by the UN. 0.7%, according to Jeffrey Sachs, who ran the UN Millennium Project, means the United States has been short by $65 billion a year on what is called official development assistance.
But it also puts us in line for Kyoto. It also puts us in line for what is also part of this UN Millennium Agreement of banning all small arms.
Well, there's a couple different documents here. The 0.7% has to be reached. We're supposed to reach that immediately. We're 65 billion short over the 13-year period from 2002 to 2015. That's how we get the $845 billion figure. Plus, they have a so-called Millennium Declaration that actually came out in 2000, which not only commits us to the more foreign aid spending, but calls on countries to implement Kyoto, a ban on small weapons, the Children's Rights Treaty, the Women's Rights Treaty. You go down the list.
These are, Cliff, I've got to run, but these things are nightmare. Please, America, do your homework on the Millennium stuff from the UN. Cliff, thanks a lot.